welcome to another episode of SaaS Leaders Lounge, the go-to podcast for insights into the evolving tech landscape. I'm your host, Romone. Today, we're diving deep into the world of AI innovations with a very special guest, Rahul Sonwalkar, CEO of Julius AI, a platform at the forefront of AI-driven data analysis. Join us today for this engaging session that promises to enrich your understanding of AI's impact into the tech world and beyond. Rahul, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. How are you and where are you joining us from?
Thanks so much for having me, Ramon. I'm joining us from San Francisco, California. I'm doing well. It's a good Monday morning, time to get into it.
Tell me about it. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us all the way from San Francisco. Hopefully, we can have an in-person discussion on our season 4 coming up. But to dive straight into it, Rahul, are you able to start by sharing the journey that led you to founding Julius AI and what motivated you to focus specifically on AI-driven data analysis?
Totally. So me and the Julius team, we are based in San Francisco. We are really excited about AI and the possibilities that it unlocks for people who previously couldn't do really powerful things. So an example of this is you have tools like Midjourney that let anyone make AI art without being an artist. There's tools like ChatGPT that let anyone write creatively without being a professional writer. And we were really excited about the potential of AI unlocking those possibilities. We are focused primarily on what can you get the AIs to do with code. And we basically spent a lot of time building products to serve these use cases. And how can we use AI to write useful things with code? It took us about a year to get to Julius. And after a lot of experimentation, talking to users, talking to customers, studying the AI landscape and the capabilities of these models, me and the team of engineers, we landed on Julius.
Fantastic. I must say, Julius AI has recently introduced a new feature that's catching everyone's attention. Are you able to describe this innovation and also its benefits for data analysis?
Totally. So under the hood, Julius acts like your data analyst and data scientist would. When you ask it a simple question like, what is my revenue? Or can you forecast my sales based on the last 4 years of sales? It will go in, look at your data, and just like a data scientist or a data analyst, it will unpack that data using code, apply all the, data modeling, data cleaning, data forecasting algorithms onto your data, and then get you that insights just with plain English.
I must say that's truly innovative. I guess it helps with speed, especially when companies want to find out revenue and importantly financial forecasts, which I think there's a lot of moving parts that can come into that where you can capture all of that data. That's amazing. Where kind of you're redefining data analytics. It's exciting to see how you're not only keeping the pace, but also setting the pace in this competitive field of AI. I saw a recent LinkedIn post about the massive volume of image uploads to Julius AI. How do you think this will enhance the platform's ability to process and also learn from visual data?
Totally. So Julius today works with all kinds of structured and unstructured data. And that's
Yeah.
what we're deeply focused on is can we take massive amounts of data and make sense out of it using the capabilities of AI? So one of the ways users upload data is they upload CSV files, Excel files, JSON files, PDFs, documents, and you can upload a bunch of these into Julius and have the AI analyze all that. Over the month of December, we kind of went in and explored the possibility of can Julius take visual data and make sense of it and give you insights from it? So it could be a screenshot of a web page. It could be a screenshot of your Excel file. It could be a screenshot of your analytics dashboard. And can you feed that into Julius and have the AI perceive that image, understand what's happening in it, and provide insights? Now, this was a pretty ambitious goal because there hasn't been a tool at the enterprise level that has yet handled image out inputs in a in a in a way that it works.
Yeah.
So we went into this thinking we have to make this happen because our users need it. And after a month of iteration and improving the models and how the models interact with each other, we were able to get to a point where now just 4 months since we launched that, there's 200,000 images being uploaded to Julius every month. And that's just image data. So, users upload all kinds of things from data sets to photos of data sets to photos of their computers from their phone, analyzing data sets to their analytics dashboards. All of that gets uploaded to Julius, and the AI processes it and gives you insights.
Perfect. But incredible, definitely. I think leveraging such vast visual data, including the screenshots that I heavily use as well, again sets new standards for AI learning. It's definitely a cutting edge innovation, I must confirm for yourself. But how does Julius AI incorporate current AI technologies like GPT-4, which you touched on, and also Claude 3? And what unique offerings does this enable for your users?
Totally. So we are focused on delivering the best AI native experience when it comes to data analysis. And what that means is we want to look at all the models that are best at a certain thing and utilize them for what they're best at. So today, Julius integrates with models like GPT-4, Claude 3 from Anthropic, GPT-4 from OpenAI, Gemini Pro from Google, DeepMind, and it integrates with all these models, as well as, by the way, Command R from Cohere. It integrates all these models into the flow to give the users the most superior experience they will get with data analysis. So I'll kind of give you an example of how we actually use these models in the flow. So let's say you upload some kind of data to Julius, and you want to ask a question like, hey, what are the insights here? Now, when you ask for insights, that's a very open-ended question, right? You ask
Yeah,
your data analyst on your team for insights, they will usually ask you a question back like, what do you mean by insights? Do you want me to look at sales? Do you want me to look at revenue? Do you want me to look at customer distribution? Do you want me to look at marketing campaigns? What do you want me to look at? And that requires a lot of creativity. Can you take data and then look at it from a bunch of different angles to ask really creative questions? And for that, there's a certain model that's really good at that. Then once you have the creativity and once you have the set of questions you want to ask the data, you need really good code generation. And writing that high quality code that can accurately perform the analysis for you is really important. And for that, there's a different model that's really good at code. It's not good at creativity because creativity requires, a lot of high variation thinking, whereas code
yeah,
requires very logical thinking, right? An artist who paints may not be just as good at stock investing because stock investing is super logical.
yeah.
But someone who's good at stock investing may not be as good at painting because it requires really creative thinking. So we are able to utilize these different models to get the users their output, as opposed to using tools like Claude or ChatGPT, where they're stuck with using a single model for everything. We're able to
Yeah,
use the best models for what they're good at. A
perfect.
second example of this is we have this feature called AI Graph Editor, and we played with a lot of analytics and data analysis tools ourselves. Before
Yeah,
Julius, I was an engineer at Uber, and before that, I was an engineer at Facebook. And at those companies, I played a lot with different tools. And what I realized was that there's an aspect of user interfaces which has a learning curve. You pick up a new tool and you have to spend hours learning how to do different things in it. With AI, that can be fixed because you can just ask the tool what you want. So we
yeah,
built this AI graph editor, which basically lets you, in plain English, tell the AI what you want to do with the graph. So if you have a graph that's created with the AI, you can tell the AI, hey, can you go make this a pie chart instead? So instead of having to click 5 buttons, you just type make a pie chart, and the
yeah.
AI will look at that and make a pie chart for you. Now, that specifically requires a specific model that we use. And being able to integrate with the best models out there and using them for what they're good at allows us to deliver that superior AI native experience to our users.
Brilliant. But yeah, you've touched on the AI graph editor. That's a remarkable integration. It also shows kind of Julius AI's commitment to leveraging these latest advancements with models that you also consider with Gemini or DeepMind or Command R, even that you touched on, to enhance user experiences. And I also think it's very interesting that you touched on your background in Uber, as previously I had a gentleman called Deepak on the podcast, and he's a CEO of a company called UseFinny, and I'd love to connect you both, as I think you both have different specialities, but a very similar product at that. So I think Uber's has a kind of should give thanks for definitely inspiring the minds of our future, like yourself. But in the era that's increasingly conscious, which is AI ethics, how does Julius AI handle crucial issues like data privacy and also user consent?
Totally. So we take data privacy very seriously. Ever since we first launched, the first thing we put into the product was privacy controls to ensure that users' data remains secure. Now, when it comes to working with AI tools, a big thing is you can trick these AI tools to do things for you that are malicious, right? And we put in a lot of upfront work into making sure that we have the guardrails to prevent that from happening. So each user gets their own sandbox environment where they upload their data and it lives on that sandbox environment for up to 1 hour since they use it. So when you use Julius and you leave for an hour, you come back, all your data is deleted because we clean the sandboxes after an hour of inactivity just to make sure that your data is the most secure. Number two, your sandbox is your sandbox. So no other user's data gets stored in your sandbox to ensure the data privacy. There's no corruption or sharing between users in terms of data to make sure that your data is super secure. And the reason for that is we have, folks uploading healthcare data, uploading sensitive financial data. So we've built in the privacy and data encryption, data security upfront to ensure that um, that into the product. In terms of in terms of data or AI ethics, so we believe that AI has the potential to unlock a lot of really powerful things for a lot of people that they previously didn't have access to. So our hope is that, for every one person who can do useful things with code, there's going to be 10 people who need those things and don't have the ability to write code or the expertise to write code. For example, getting insights from your data. There's a lot of nonprofits today who use Julius to get insights out of their data. And it's really meaningful to watch these nonprofits who previously they have like a very limited budget and they can't afford a full-time data scientist or data analyst. They are now able to use tools like Julius to feed their data into Julius and have the AI serve as their data analyst, give them really meaningful insights, and help them operate more efficiently. And just seeing that is very meaningful, and we hope to democratize that even more.
Yeah, extremely meaningful. Just to add another one onto that, I think it's reassuring to hear, especially with your inclusion of the sandbox, which is very unique. Adding with the built-in data privacy, I think it's crucial for tech leaders like yourself to prioritize these ethical considerations as you do. There's often talk about AI potentially replacing jobs. What's your perspective on AI's role in the tech industry employment landscape?
Totally. What we're seeing today from the 500,000 users who use Julius is they tell us that the AI helps them do more. And there's so many meaningful stories that we hear from our users, from the nonprofit story I shared,
Yeah.
which is um, these nonprofits are now able to use Julius to have a data analyst on their team that they previously couldn't afford. At the same time, there's executives who reach out and tell us, previously I had to talk to a data analyst and have to wait a day to get the insights I wanted. Now with Julius, I get that in minutes. Now, can Julius replace a data analyst or data scientist? Today I don't think so. In fact, if you combine a data analyst with a data scientist and a data scientist with Julius, you get even more powerful output And that's what we're seeing in organizations where about a good fraction of our users are actually data scientists and data analysts who are now able to point the inbound requests they get to Julius and say, hey, for these questions, you can just ask Julius, and I'll set up Julius for you to use, and sort of help maintain their workload or the inbound workload that they're getting. So two things. I think today the AI is not at a place where it will completely replace humans. In fact, it's at a place where it will augment humans and help them do really powerful things,
Yeah.
whether they have the skills to do those things or not. We're seeing similar things with art, where a lot more people are able to make really meaningful art with AI, and a lot of people are able to make better art with AI, even though they're artists. I talked to a lot of artists who've, made really cool videos using tools like Sora and Pika Labs. I've talked to artists who have made really nice looking art using Midjourney and DALL-E because this is a new tool at their disposal and they can do a lot of really powerful things with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to the cliche saying that AI won't necessarily replace us, but someone using AI definitely will. And I think that kind of links up with the main feedback that you've collated from the 500,000 plus users, where AI helps them to do more. And hopefully in the near future, you not only can improve speed, but also quality, as kind of considering your example, if you was to team up Julius with a data scientist or data analysis, I'm sure that increases a whole lot of quality as well, as mentioned. So I think it's a thoughtful perspective on a critical issue that you've offered. Definitely a balanced view on AI's impact on employment. I think it would be great to shift our gears for kind of a fun, quick round fire section to learn more about the person behind the CEO title. So are you ready to go ahead with this role?
Let's do it.
Brilliant. If any, do you prefer online shopping or in-store shopping?
Online for sure.
Brilliant. Are you more into Marvel or DC, if any?
DC. I love DC.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that answer as well. As everyone I ask usually says Marvel, but it sounds like you've got more knowledge into that area to pick DC. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you prefer classical music or pop music?
Great question. When I'm driving or I'm at the gym, I like pop music. When I'm working, I like to play classical music in my headphones to just really focus and get me into the mood of that I'm Napoleon or one of the medieval uh warlords
Yeah.
or something. It just gets me riled
I,
up. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm passionate about music and I listen to everything. And you're correct. When I'm in the office and I need kind of some time to just concentrate, it's definitely the classical that goes in. I might even put some rock music on if I'm in the gym. So yeah, very similar to your answer. Do you prefer reading or writing?
um I prefer reading. I love reading. Yeah.
Beautiful. Speaking or listening?
I like listening. When we are in meetings, I tend to just shut up and listen to folks who know better about their domain than I do. So if we're talking about
Yeah,
marketing, I'll just shut up and listen quietly about marketing. When we're talking about engineering, I'll shut up and listen about engineering. And then once I've listened and digested all the information, I give my input.
I agree with yourself. But I know you kind of learn the fastest by being the less smartest person in the room, but I always think it doesn't mean you're the less smartest at everything, just in one particular thing, or even a multitude of things. So yeah, you're right. Listening to other people that have strengths in other areas is definitely a way to educate yourself more effectively, and also give other people trust to kind of do what they do best. Do you prefer more coding or designing?
I prefer coding more.
Brilliant. Planning or improvising?
Improvising. That's something we're big at. Is have a terrible plan, improvise it when you're actually ship the product,
Yeah.
and get better at it. The feedback is really important.
Brilliant. Brilliant answer. And last question, do you prefer swimming or sunbathing?
Ooh, I prefer swimming. When I'm at the beach, I like to be in the water.
Yeah, brilliant. It definitely shows a lot about your character. But yeah, thank you. I enjoyed that section there heavily. We always like to keep a collaborative nature on the SaaS Leaders Lounge. So we ask Or we have a previous guest ask a question to the current and the current to the next. The previous guest on SaaS Leaders Lounge was a gentleman called Aaron Rajagopal. He's basically a director for the AI and ML initiatives at Ad Marketplace. His question for you is, what is the most critical feedback you've received, and how did you address this, if you did?
Totally. So, the most critical piece of feedback I've ever received since starting Julius was to focus. So, when we started Julius, we had this really ambitious goal of what if AIs could write our code for us? And what would that mean? Could we make software? Could we do data analysis? Could we make websites? Could we make apps? And that's a really ambitious goal for a small group of people to accomplish. And what that does is it makes it really hard to ship something that affects people's lives immediately. So we had this really audacious goal. And what we ended up doing was we were split across a lot of different verticals that we couldn't really focus on all at once and couldn't make meaningful progress on. And then eventually, when we started and launched on Julius after a few different experimentations, the most critical piece of advice I got was focus. Focus on one thing right now, make it really work and work really well. So we focused on Julius and we made data analysis and data science work really, really well. And that allowed us to go from 0 users to about 500,000 users in just the span of 8 months. So that was the most critical piece of feedback I received. And
Brilliant.
um, yeah,
No, sorry, I thought I cut you off there, but no, that's amazing. I must say, I think I always hear about, yeah, focus on one thing. Even in recruitment, it's like if you specialize in a niche, it will definitely catapult you further quicker, and the kind of knowledge you'll have in that space is going to be much more intense. So I think it definitely relates to what you've mentioned, and it's kind of the proof's in the pudding for how you've achieved so many kind of users in such a short space of time. Just to allow you listeners know, Julius AI has only been around for 11 months and you've achieved such records. So kudos to yourself, I must say. On our next podcast, we've got a lady called Rachel Koza. She's the CEO and founder of a company called Virtual Sapiens. What would your question be for Rachel on our next podcast?
awesome. Hey Rachel, I'm Rahul. My question for you is, as a founder, how do you balance ambition with pragmatism? So there are certain things that are really ambitious and you should be doing. That's the whole point of startups. Is startups are really ambitious. But then there is a part of startups which is pragmatism. What is possible to do today? How do you balance the two in your mind? Well, while you have to, make progress on both.
Brilliant, brilliant question. Even me, I look forward to Rachel's answer within that, as I definitely think I could add it to kind of a motivation for the future. Thank you so much, Rahul. Before we wrap up, are you able to share where our listeners can find more about you, your work, and also Julius AI?
Absolutely. You can go to julius.ai on online and sign up for Julius. It's free to get started with. We allow or you give all our users free access for each month that they can
Yeah.
play with Julius, get insights from their data, analyze spreadsheets, analyze data sets, analyze images. You can also look up Julius AI on Google or on Twitter or on LinkedIn and follow us. We regularly post updates, interact with our users, and always all ears for feedback.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rahul, for this incredible, insightful conversation here in the SaaS Leaders Lounge. I'll be sure to put your LinkedIn and also your company's details in the About Us on our YouTube, Spotify, and Apple pages. But to our listeners, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to catch all our episodes of our AI series and much more. We have a lineup of incredible guests just like Rahul, and you won't want to miss the wisdom they share. Until next time, keep exploring the boundaries of innovation and leadership. Goodbye for now. Thank you very much, Rahul. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ramon.
Brilliant.